Congratulations to Suncor, violating pollution standards and exceeding profit goals. Today, the CEO gave investors information about what went wrong at the refinery in Commerce City. We asked the governor about his plan to trade you some of your money for a bit less of your money. We go inside Denver's migrant processing facility to see the scramble to help families find a place to sleep. And CDOT says it was not a hazmat incident that coated cars on the highway. It was just a spill from a sewage truck. Hold your nose and watch. This is next. People living around the Suncor refinery have struggled to get straight answers about issues at that plant that led it to be shut down in late December and ease back into full operations by April. Today, Suncor's CEO told investors that part of the problem was the competency of individual operators at the refinery. We asked Suncor if those operators are still at the controls of Colorado's only oil refinery. We haven't heard back.
Welcome to Suncor Energy's first quarter earnings call.
Suncor just announced better than expected profits, despite the months-long shutdown of its Commerce City refinery. Temperatures in our backyard, in the 9 backyard, dropped 30 degrees in 20 minutes. Suncor CEO Rich Kruger told investors that the December 21st temperature plunge took out their steam system, which allows Suncor to heat the refinery.
It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you'd have continued to operate, you'd run risk that in those extreme conditions you could have some type of loss of primary containment and, further escalating event.
Loss of primary containment basically means a spill or emission, and if what gets loose is flammable, you can have fires or explosions. Suncor had 2 fires in the following days before they told the public that they were shutting down the entire facility. The CEO blames in part the competency of the people working there.
And, the learnings, they fall into a variety of buckets, but the competency of individual operators, have we had sufficient training in the uniqueness of what happened, the temperature drop over the, very, very short period.
Suncor told investors worried about the bottom line that they'll be better prepared next time around.
Apparently every year there's winter in Denver, and before the next season, so that if we were to experience something as unique as this, we would be far better equipped to handle it.
Suncor's CEO says the company's board of directors got a comprehensive briefing just yesterday on what was learned from the incident in Colorado. We have asked Suncor if the community can see that briefing. We'll let you know when we hear back. Democrats who have taken aim at Colorado's taxpayer Bill of Rights in all sorts of ways have finalized their plan for November's election. Ask people to vote to reduce Tabor refunds a little more year after year, and in return, lower-income Coloradans would get larger refunds next year, and property tax owners would get some property tax relief. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger asked the governor, why dangle cash in return for votes to scale back the taxpayer Bill of Rights?
I personally believe the pathway to a more progressive Tabor refund mechanism is through an income tax cut.
A lower state income tax would result in fewer dollars coming in, meaning fewer dollars needing to be refunded because of Tabor. But that was not the question. The question was, why offer equal and equitable Tabor refunds, no matter your income level, in exchange for a yes vote on the November ballot issue that would minimize how high property taxes increase for property owners?
It may appear that these are politically connected, but they're actually policy connected.
Renters, people who live in apartment complexes, anyone who does not own property. You are not going to directly benefit from the property tax proposal on the ballot because it takes some of everyone's Tabor refund money to make sure cities, counties, schools, and fire districts still get funded, even if property owners don't pay as much as they're supposed to currently.
We want to make sure that money that is used from that pot of money, the surplus, it doesn't negatively impact people who are renters.
That brings us back to the quid pro quo. If you vote yes on the property tax ballot issue, it will trigger a second bill passed yesterday that will increase Tabor refunds for low-income earners and decrease them for higher earners, creating equal Tabor refunds for everyone, including renters. Equal Tabor refunds will not happen if the property tax ballot issue does not pass. When lawmakers in the House voted last night to put the property tax issue on the ballot, every Republican walked out and did not vote.
Well, I don't think walking out on a body is polite. There were times when I served in a legislative body in Congress that I wasn't happy with what the majority party was doing, but I never walked out.
So what we accomplished is we made a statement.
House Minority Leader Mike Lynch defended Republicans walking out when I asked him how it was any different than voting no.
We're talking about it right now.
This story started with me asking the governor about trading Tabor money in exchange for a vote on the property tax ballot issue. Sean Boyd at Channel 4 followed up, and the House Speaker and Senate President answered the question instead. Jesse Paul with the Colorado Sun also tried, and the governor reiterated what the Senate President said, which is they were meant to be connected, but they couldn't be because of rules in Colorado that limit bills to one subject, and it didn't fit under the one subject rule. What doesn't make sense to me about it is that the property tax ballot issue was introduced on May 1st, Monday, and the equal Tabor refunds wasn't introduced until Saturday, May 6th. So if they were connected, you'd think they'd be introduced back-to-back on the same day.
Some things are complicated because they're complicated, and some things are complicated because it helps the people who want them to be complicated. Did this need to be as complicated as it is? With all these things linked to each other,
No.
vote for this to get this cash, then this happens?
No, they could live in vacuums for sure. But the thing is, if you're going to reduce property taxes for homeowners and you want to benefit renters in some way, you have to say, oh, we're taking some of your Tabor refund with this proposal. You're not going to like that. So we're going to give you this little bit that you're going to like. But that's why we're tying this together. That's why it's so complicated.
Well, the good news for the governor is that if he doesn't answer the question, you'll just go away. As we've seen before, you'll just say, okay, fine, that's fair. You'll just go away.
I don't have 6 months until it's on the ballot to talk about this, so you're right.
Thanks, Marshall. A voting systems company from Denver that just about nobody had heard of 3 years ago has blown up Fox News' bottom line so badly that even the Super Bowl could not make that company profitable. Fox Corp told investors today that settling Dominion's defamation suit over Fox's election rigging lies led that company to lose $50 million this quarter, despite all the increased revenue from NFL games and the Super Bowl. Fox paid nearly $800 million to Dominion rather than risk a potential billion-plus judgment at trial. But fear not, Fox News fans, despite taking that L and another looming lawsuit from another voting systems company, Fox's CEO told investors today the company does not plan to change its programming. Denver is overwhelmed again with the number of migrants coming here from the southern border. The city says it can't help as many people as it did last time. So nonprofits are scrambling to find places for families with children to spend the night. Back in April, the city was seeing about 40 new migrants a day. A week ago, that became 60 a day, 80 a day. Now it's more than 200 new migrants per day, 286 yesterday. Our Angeline McCall shows us the very individual effort to help.
I didn't know that was going to happen so soon. I was thinking it would be somewhere in June.
This is a stop for the nearly 1,500 migrants who arrived in Denver this week.
This is a place to come and stop, I think. I think it's like the place to stop before you go.
Here at Denver's migrant intake, there's so many people, they can't keep up.
Hay tanta gente que va a demorar mucho tiempo. Exacto.
Yoli Casas runs nonprofit Vive Wellness.
Cuando ustedes tienen su especito en el suelo, caminando, ¿saben cómo llegar?
She's helping the ones who want to stay in Denver.
30 minutos, eso, suerte.
For those who are leaving,
Filadelfia y New Jersey, Nueva York.
their only option is to wait in line for a bus ticket.
Es que en Denver no hay refugio. Aquí no hay refugio para inmigrantes. Eso es lo malo. Están abriéndolo ustedes para unos días y ahí tienen que estar en la calle.
If a migrant wants help, they need to be processed here at the intake center. And that's taking time.
Es difícil, pero ¿qué vamos a hacer si no tenemos algo estable que pues los refugios están llenos?
Maria wants to go to New York with her family.
Ya tengo 3 días de estar aquí, durmiendo acá. Me anoté en una lista donde pones tu nombre, tu apellido y la ciudad donde vas.
When moving forward on the journey comes to a stop, being a mom doesn't. A parking garage is no home for kids.
No sabemos qué, pues estamos esperando la lista, que nos llamen, que nos pasen. Yo estoy desesperada porque ya yo tengo 3 días. No estamos comiendo bien aquí porque acá no nos dan comida. O sea, esto no es un refugio.
Tenemos un plan, ¿ok?
Yoli is prioritizing families with children like Maria's.
Ya están viendo los pasajes y esperando los hoteles.
She's buying bus tickets for their final destination.
Esperando los hoteles, ya.
She's worried about these 11 families sleeping on the street.
Hey, Jackie, how are you?
So she's doing what her nonprofit has done since migrants began arriving here 5 months ago.
Do you have 11 rooms? How far is it? Do you happen to have 11? Well, we're a nonprofit.
Finding them a place to stay.
You probably are full, right?
For the night.
Yeah, so apparently we need about 11 rooms.
Booking 11 hotel rooms with no notice.
You don't have anything left?
Is no easy task.
Okay.
But she feels she has no other choice.
They are confirmed. It means it's happening.
For Maria and these other families,
Véngase para acá.
their wait has finally come to an end.
6 people we pay for. Yep, that's it.
Knowing they won't spend another night waiting.
Ahí nos vemos pronto. Adiós.
Pues sí, uno se siente más relajado porque ya le dicen algo, pues algo seguro de que pues sí, se va a ir y pues.
And we also learned today that migrants are no longer sleeping in the garage. They're actually now going to a nearby church to sleep before going back to the intake center in the morning. We also know that they were delivering food today as well.
Those changes because it got public attention or what? Do we know?
I think just because the need is great, and you know, there is a limit to funding as well. There's a limit to people being able to help. So I also just want to note for anyone who's looking to help as well, Yoli's nonprofit is also taking donations, and they have a big need right now for volunteers.
Vive Wellness is the name of that group. Angeline McCall, thank you. So we have covered conservatives winning control of a number of school boards in Colorado. Tonight, another recommended read on that topic. Woodland Park, down near Colorado Springs, elected a conservative school board majority. NBC News has now obtained recordings and records showing a board member saying they were going to do it like Donald Trump. They were going to attack on all fronts at once. So they brought in a former conservative school reformer from Jefferson County to be their superintendent. They adopted right-wing social studies standards. They approved a charter school without public notice. Now nearly 40% of teachers are leaving. And conservative parents are saying that they are done with the Woodland Park School District. You can see NBC's full report on the next Facebook page. The crappiest commute in Colorado left cars covered in human waste. Not the first time this kind of thing has happened in the same spot. Westminster High School students are pioneering a new sport, drone soccer, connecting with other kids around the world. And RTD, not feeling quite as futuristic. Nope, their latest service is straight out of the 90s. That's next. When something sprayed all over cars and traffic on I-76 in Adams County yesterday, if drivers reacted with the profanity that begins with S, they would have been right, because that's exactly what it was. Colorado State Patrol says a sewer truck dumped on I-76 eastbound yesterday. The road was then shut down for most of the evening while the world's unluckiest cleanup crew got to work. A viewer named Nico sent us some photos, which we're somewhat hesitant about showing at dinner time, but Nico says 3 car washes later, the smell remains. Sewage spill on I-76 is something of an annual tradition. Part of the road was shut down last May for the same thing. CDOT cleaned up that sewage spill with snowplows and fire trucks. I imagine they got some feedback from employees on that, so this time around, they hired contractors.
Buckle up. Here we go. Wild weather already starting to push across the metro area. This is our camera atop Lookout Mountain looking off to the east where stormy skies are already starting to form. More on the way late tonight, overnight, and then again tomorrow afternoon and evening. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in place around Adams and Weld counties. That's going to last another half hour to 45 minutes or so. About $50 size hail reported within this cell as it's tracking off to the north and to the east. A whole lot of lightning plus 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts coming out of this cell. Again, this is just the beginning, folks. It's really going to be active for us as this area of low pressure digs into the four corners of the course in the next 24 to 48 hours. Stormy skies once again on deck, and it'll be a bit more widespread tomorrow afternoon into the evening. So much so that the Denver area, everywhere in yellow, under a slight risk for seeing severe storms tomorrow. That means isolated tornadoes, large hail again, plus those stronger wind gusts. Here we are late tonight, however. Midnight. It's going to be a late night, a noisy night. We could even see a little bit of hail with that cell. It's tracking off to the north and to the east. 3 a.m. still causing some trouble across the plains. By 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, we get a brief break, a little sunshine midday. That heat is going to help fire up these thunderstorms, and they'll just continue as the afternoon and evening wear on, kind of one wave after the next. Temperatures tomorrow holding in the 70s, and then the cooler weather following suit. It's going to be a soggy day. Some areas around the metro area, 1 to 2 3 inches of rainfall from now all the way through Friday. We'll keep it in the 60s with still a few showers for Mother's Day weekend.
I'm not saying future wars will be fought by drone, but probably not a bad idea for kids to learn how to use them in peacetime. And a blast from the past, courtesy of RTD's customer service department. It's so 90s, and it's next. It's Westminster High versus the world. The competition is drone soccer, quite possibly the most ingenious way to get kids excited about careers in STEM.
I just kind of thought it was weird at first because it's like drone soccer. Like, how do you play soccer with a drone?
I know, it's crazy, right?
Drone soccer is like another version of Quidditch, kind of.
It's a 5-on-5 competition. We have one striker that is trying to get through the goal.
We would have like 3 defenders.
One of them is specifically a keeper, which is like a goalie. It's a full contact sport, so the students get to, interact with the other drones, and sometimes they break stuff, and it's a lot of fun.
You basically learn how to drone maintenance and drone programming.
It takes teamwork, I would say. It definitely takes communication skills.
So basically today we're going to be playing with the Korean international team.
It's just an opportunity for the South Korean team to come here and come play the USA team as a friendly match. And then next week we're going to be flying to South Korea, and we will be competing against them again in South Korea at the World Tournament.
So we're practicing spinning the drone with the hood and then keeping that in control. That's what they're doing.
We're just kind of like basically showcasing drone soccer and making it more out there, especially since it's really new.
Drone soccer it's an amazing thing, and you get to meet new people. Like, I'm meeting like people that speak entirely different language from like an entire continent, and I'm befriending them, and it's been very fun. And at the end of the day, it's about fun.
Those 4 students from Westminster going to South Korea later this month are part of the U.S. drone soccer team's first ever World Championship team. Some of the students are even skipping graduation to go. RTD is going to take us back in time. Plus your feedback next. The most 90s thing we saw today is RTD's new way to communicate with riders. RTD is offering a brand new service where you call a phone number to find out when your bus or train is arriving. Kind of like those old phone lines that would give you the movie listings or the time and temperature. RTD says it's the same information as their website and their Next Ride app, but for when people don't have access to those. I suppose more information can't hurt, right? Although John Lorenz writes in to say, I will call that number right after I speak with Kramer on movie phone. That was the exact first thing that I thought of, John. It was just some RTD person fumbling through a schedule being like, why don't you tell me what bus you would like to ride? That actually would be kind of hilarious and personal, honestly. Maybe they should try it. See you next time.